Hello guys, this is Rays. Today we are going to do tutorial 2 of the HUD from Scratch series for TF2 HUDs. I know it's not a Tuesday or a Thursday, but I figured since it's Valentine's Day, and I recently broke 1,000 subscribers, I figured, you know, I owed it to you guys to give you a little gift, a little present. So consider this my Valentine's Day gift to all of you. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to actually get our feet wet in the HUD editing business. We're gonna extract the base HUD files, install the base HUD files into our TF directory, and then actually make our first change and commit it to GitHub. So without further ado, let's get going here. So hopefully you guys have watched at least, if you haven't watched any of these tutorial videos, hopefully you've at least watched the first one that said get GCFscape, because that's when this comes into play here. And there's other places I know that you can get the base HUD files, but this is always, in my opinion, the most reliable way because it's literally taking them from the game itself. So hopefully you guys have GCFscape installed, and what we're going to do now is we're going to run that. So I'm in Windows 8, so this will be kind of weird, but do what you can, do what you need to do to run GCFscape, and then when you get it open, it should look something like this. And this is good, it means you've opened the program, you're already like halfway home. So what you need to do is you need to open files to extract. So you can't extract it if you don't select any files to take files from in the first place. Well, that's really confusing. Anyways, you wanna either Control O or go to File Open. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be opening essentially the compressed file that has all of the smaller HUD related files within it. And this is not visible to you by default, I don't think, so this might be kind of new to some of you. So what you want to do is once you open it, it'll bring up a Windows Explorer window, and what you need to do is you need to navigate to your Steam directory. Now I was already there, but I'll go ahead and do it just so you guys kind of know where you need to be looking here. So you'll go to whichever drive you have Steam installed on, Program Files, x86, then you'll find your Steam folder, and then from there you'll go to your Steam Apps. Then you go to Common. You don't want to go to your username because ever since Steam Pipe they've put all the TF2 stuff in Common. And then you'll find your TF2 folder, right here, Team Fortress 2. And then you'll go to your TF folder, and then this might look familiar to you, right? This is where you have all your config stuff, your add-ons, you know, pretty much all of the stuff you might be used to. But what you'll see here is as we scroll down, you'll see a lot of VPK files. And you might not have even seen these before because I feel like I think by default they're actually hidden in your TF directory. They might not be, but you may or may not have seen these before. Anyways, this is what we're looking for. We're looking for the VPK files because this is these are the files that are compressed that hold all of the HUD stuff we want. So for the HUD files that we're trying to get, we're going to go to tf2_misc_dir, and not any of the ones with numbers after it. You got to find the one called dir, and you're going to open it. And once you open it, this will load, and you'll see a similar folder structure to what you saw in your TF directory, right? You know, you'll have your maps, your materials, all that jazz. But the only things we're interested in right now are the scripts and the resources. So you need to extract those. Now you can do this a manner of ways, but what I like to do is I like to hold Control, and it allows you to do a multi-select here, and then right-click and go to extract. Now you can extract them pretty much anywhere you want. But I would definitely recommend making a folder to put both of those things in. So I actually went ahead and made one. Actually, I have this root thing where I store all of the TF files on my hard drive, and so I'm going to go ahead and extract those. And there you go. Now I'm not going to go through this next step too carefully because I assume a lot of you guys have probably installed custom HUDs before, otherwise you wouldn't be interested in making your own. So basically what you do at this point is you install it like you would install a custom HUD, because technically that's what it's going to become when all's said and done. So you go to the folder where you navigated those two things, you'll copy them, and then you'll go back to your TF directory here, and inside of your custom folder, which is where you put custom HUD stuff, you know, of course you'll make a HUD, and so we'll call it TF2 experiment. Actually, we'll just call it TF2 custom HUD, because that's what it is. And then you'll copy paste the resources and scripts folders. And you'll see now when we launch the game, this might take a second, but once we launch the game, you'll see that it'll be as if you're running the default HUD, because you are technically, right? But this is when we get into the cool stuff, and we get to move on to actually performing our very first edit. It'll be really fun, I promise. Because there's so much you can do, even with just your very first edit, that it'll be great. So, the first thing you want to do is you want to load into any map. Like you don't even have to be in your own server, but I personally like to create my own server. So we're just gonna go ahead and go to, assuming this opens anytime in the next few years. Oh, there we go. That was a little weird. We'll just go to Badlands. That's always my go-to map. So I'm gonna load into Badlands here, and hopefully this won't take too long, because I don't really want to eat into the video time too terribly much. But again, this is going to be really brief. This is just going to be making our very first edit. I'll go more into detail about positioning things and whatnot in the future, and useful keybinds and all that jazz once we get into the more advanced editing techniques. Right now I'm just showing you like basic fundamentals. So this is going to be really surface level stuff, and some of it will probably be confusing to you, but I promise that at the end of this series, everything will make way much more sense. Okay, so here we are, and you'll see again we have the default everything. You know, we've got our default menu select, or class menu select, the default health, ammo, all that jazz. And it's all installed, so that's good. See, if you had a custom HUD before, and you put these files in here, it's actually kind of hard to determine whether or not you installed the this custom HUD correctly, because by default, if you didn't have a custom HUD, then of course it would look like this anyways. But this is when we can make the distinction. Time to create this HUD, make it our own thing. So first things first, let's go ahead and edit that health, right? It's in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. It's really small. It's out of the way. Let's move it to somewhere that we can actually tell what's going on. So what you're going to do now is you're going to navigate to this directory, your TF2 custom HUD folder that has your resources and scripts folders in it, and you're going to open up resource. And you can ignore all of this for right now. Just ignore everything. Open up your UI folder, which is where the majority of all of the HUD editing you'll be doing is actually in. And you're going to want to navigate for a file called HUD player health. And that is the one that controls all of the player health information. And again, I'll get more into detail on this later once we get into personalizing, styling. Right now, we just want to perform an edit to prove to the world that we can do it. So we're going to open this up. Now, by default, I have mine set to open up with Notepad++. If you don't already have that, I would highly recommend it, because you're going to be opening a whole bunch of .res files, as you can see here. So it would be really beneficial to you if you make it like the default file type. And if you double-click and you try to open the file and it says, oh, you know, Windows doesn't know how to open up this type of file, .res, then say, I want to open it with this program, and find Notepad++ and do that. And I promise it will open, assuming you installed it correctly and all that jazz. And then when you open it, it should look something like this. We don't need all that other stuff, so we'll close that. It'll look something like this, right? And you'll see immediately right off the bat a whole bunch of crap, and it doesn't mean very much to you right now, because you don't know what any of it means. And for purpose of abstraction, we're not going to go over any of this stuff right now until we get to the actual HUD player health section of the tutorial. But right now, like I said, we're just making an edit. So what you'll see here is at the very top, you'll find this section of code called HUD player health. And a good way to distinguish, if you're not familiar with code, different sections of code is within each HUD file, each section of code will have a name in quotes, followed by an opening bracket, and then a bunch of values and variables, followed by a closing bracket. So this is what I'm going to refer to as a section of code, so just for future reference. You'll see that there's a lot of stuff here. And some of it may be familiar to you, some of it might not be, but that's kind of irrelevant right now. We're just making our first edit. So you can see here, X position, which represents the horizontal axes, so the left and right hand sides of the screen, and Y position, which represents the upper and lower parts of the screen, or the vertical sections of the screen, already have these values in place. And that's actually what we're going to be manipulating right now. So literally you can do whatever you want, and really at the beginning of your HUD editing career, it's going to be a bunch of guess and check. But just for a means of showing you guys that this is a thing that you can do, Like this is actually an editable panel. We're just going to change these to random values just so you can see the change. We'll worry about positioning later. So again, we talked about how that health was in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and we didn't like that. So we're going to change that right now. So you can see in the bottom left, the X position set to 0, and as a result, the health panel is almost up against the left-hand side of the screen. We don't want that. We want to move it farther out. So we're going to actually increase the X position. We're actually going to raise that value up to 100, which should move it over to the right-hand side a little bit. And then you'll see this thing called Y position. Now, right now, there's this R value here, and I'll cover what the R values and whatnot mean in a later video. But for right now, we're just going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of this entire thing, and we're going to set this value to, let's say, we'll set it to 50. We'll set it to 50, and we'll see what that looks like. So once you make your edit, you're going to Control S, and that'll save it for you. And you can tell if you make an edit, see, because if I type, the little notepad document changes from blue to red, and that means you have unsaved changes. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that, but Control save, make sure this is blue, and once you want to see the result of your very first edit, you need to open up the console in TF2. And I'm going to assume you guys know how to do that, so I'm going to skip that step. But now that I've got the console open, you're going to type in HUD_reload scheme. And it'll be useful that you bind that to a key, but we'll cover that later. But upon hitting this button, it'll be like magic before your eyes, because once we're done here, then you will see that that health that was in the lower left won't be in the lower left anymore. Alright, so here we go. And you'll see now, there you go. We've got the health in the upper left-hand section of the game. Everything else is still perfectly in place, but now we have our health way up there to the upper left-hand side. And I can't really see how that would be practical, but hey, at least we can say we've distinguished our HUD from the rest now, right? We've all made our very first edit. And again, you guys can kind of start playing around with the values and trying to move stuff around and figure stuff out. But if it's a little confusing or you're lost at a certain step or whatever, that's alright, because we're going to cover it in a later video. Anyways, now that we've made our edit, let's go ahead and push it to GitHub so we can see the new changes and show the world what we've done. Alright, so since this is going to be the first commit, it's going to be really important that you get all of the files involved here. So again, now that you've made your edit, you're going to go back to your custom directory, you're going to go to your HUD directory, and you're going to copy the resources in the scripts folder. And you're going to copy, and you're going to navigate to your GitHub directory. So we're going to go to mine's called TF2 HUD tutorial. You can go to whatever yours is called, and you're going to paste these bad boys in here. Right? Alright, so there we go. And now that we have them pasted into our GitHub folder, then you'll see that upon running the GitHub application again, there will be inside of here a lot of stuff. There should be a whole lot of things. In fact, it's taking such a long time to load changes because there's so many new things that were added to the folder. And there we go. You'll see literally all of the files that you just copied and pasted in here. And actually, let me not get ahead of myself. This is bad practice. We actually don't want to do this. All right. So the nifty thing about HUD editing is that let's back up a few steps here. I'm kind of leading you guys astray. The nifty thing about this is in TF2 world, like we're gonna go to the world of abstraction here for a minute. In TF2 world, you don't have to keep anything that you didn't edit, because any file that you haven't edited will revert back to the default, and since the only file we edited was our HUD player health, that's the only one we need in our folder for right now. Now that doesn't mean get rid of all those other files that you just imported, because you are going to need them in the future, but for the time being right now, the only edit we've done is to the HUD player health folder. So we'll go ahead and copy that, and then get rid of everything in here. So we'll go ahead and get rid of everything, except for that little HUD player health thing. Oh, it appears I've done a bad thing. That's all right. We'll go ahead and undo this. HUD player health. Where is that guy? Sorry, I beefed it here, guys. I beefed it. Okay, so there we go. We'll get rid of all that. Oh, I beefed it again. All right, I'm just bad. There we go. HUD player health. Everything except that. Get it out of here. And again, we don't have anything in here. We haven't done any edits to any of this, so we can get rid of everything except for the UI folder, because that's where our file we've edited is. And then same thing in the scripts. We don't even need the scripts folder right now. We can just get rid of that. It'll come in the future, but for the time being, we do not need that scripts folder there. And so, for our very first commit, it's actually going to look kind of pitiful, right? Because you're not going to have anything in here, except for that one file you edited. And that's alright, though. That's alright. Because it means that you're doing things right. Because if you import files that you don't need, then things will just get confusing on down the line. So again, you'll see here we've got our adjusted values. We've got that 100 and that 50 here. That wasn't there before. And we're good to go. So now you can type a little message. I'm just going to go ahead and type in lesson, or I guess tutorial 2, our first commit. And the nifty thing about this is you're able to document your changes really easily, right? So you can select the files that you want to push to the GitHub server and give them a name or a title that describes what you changed or what you edited in your HUD files, and then they'll show up as that name on the website. So it makes it really easy to find out what's changed over the years in your HUD, because you can actually go back and look at your commit list and see all of the different edits you've done, which I think is actually kind of a cool thing. So anyways, I kind of went off topic again. We've typed our message here, and now we're ready to sync it to the server. So step 1 to that is you'll give it a message, or give it a name like you have here, and a description if you want, and you'll hit this button, commit to master, right? And once you hit that button, it'll disappear. It'll be like, oh my god, what happened, right? And you'll think, wow, I am ready to put this on the server, right? It's already on the server, right? I'm ready to give this to everyone. Almost. There's one more step you have to follow here. You have to sync it up with the server now. Just because you've pushed it doesn't mean it's there. So you're going to click on this button, publish, and you'll see it's publishing. And it'll only do this once. After now, it'll say sync, right? So once it's published, then now you'll hit sync, and you'll see the +1 because there is that one committed change that we've made that has not been synced to the server yet. So we'll click it. There will be a little blue bar, and you'll see, boom, History Tutorial 2, our first commit. And now, upon going to GitHub, lo and behold, you'll see we have, within our TF2 HUD tutorial, we'll have a resource folder, a UI folder, and there you go. You've got your HUD online, ready to be accessed by millions, and it's great. Anyways, I went a little over my time limit, but I felt like this first step was really, really important to cover. I felt like it was really necessary to explain the commit process, the editing process, and I guess next tutorial we'll actually get a little more into the health, and I'll explain some more basic positioning things, positioning elements involved with the HUD biz. Anyways, again, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a good Valentine's Day, and you learned something today. If you didn't, I'm sorry. I'll try to do better next time. Anyways, yeah, you guys have a good one, and I'll see you later.